I remember back to when I was first setting up my home bar, both for personal consumption and for videos. I went to my two favourite people, Master of Malt and Drink Stuff, and I just loaded up my shopping cart with multiple different syrups and purees, mainly because every flavour just sounded cool. I wanted them all. You name it, I had everything from apple to pear to rose to blueberry, peach. Why wouldn't you? They were so much fun. They were £5, £7 a bottle. I just loaded loads up in my shopping cart and I spent in excess of 250 quid. But the truth is, that was such a waste of money because you only use 15 ml here and there in cocktails. It can take you a year to get through a quarter of a bottle of some of the syrups and some of the purees, unless you're throwing a party, of course. Now, I just want to throw a very quick caveat in very early doors in this video, and we're going to be talking about dates on products. It's a question I get a lot, especially when it comes to purees and syrups. There are two types of dates, effectively, on every single product that you'll buy in supermarkets or online. There is a use by date and there is a best before date. They are very different things. A use by date is pretty much going to tell you that if you consume that product a few days after the use by date, there is a fairly high chance that you could get ill from it. That is a use by date. Okay, a best before date is something completely different. A best before date is just purely a guideline. It's there from brands to tell you, say if they've got a best before 3 months, for instance, it's their guarantee to you that within those 3 months, that product is going to be in tip-top condition, how it's meant to be. However, that's not telling you that's going to go off within 4 months or 5 months or 6 months. And this is Steve the Barman talking here. This is not brands, okay? This is my own personal thing before I start getting any lawsuits from food poisoning and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want you to get too fixated by dates on syrups and purees, especially the purees that I'm going to show you in this video. They are purely there as a guideline, and even in this studio right now, bearing in mind this is, for me, this is personal consumption and videos, this is not for general public. I've got products, I've got syrups and I've got purees that have been opened in excess of 3 years and they're still absolutely fine. They still taste bang on, near as damn it to perfect, because they are not going to go off. The amount of sugar that's in them, they're really not going to go off. It is just purely a guideline from the brands. So when you see something that says best before within 2 years, once opened, consume within, I don't know, 30 days, 3 months, it is a guideline. It's not telling you you have to use it within 30 days or 3 months. It's just telling you that there's a chance it might not be as it's supposed to be after that date. Do they last a lot longer? Yes, of course they do. Now, as I said, before I get any lawsuits or anything coming at me, oh, you gave me food poisoning there. Look, it is down to you to use your own common sense. With the syrups, with the purees, the fruity mixes that I'm going to show you, it is very easy to tell once they've gone off. You could probably get a little bit of mold on the top. You might get pressure build up. If you open the cap, it goes shh. You know, all that is a sign is that it's past its best. So don't get too hung up about the dates. If you don't see mold, if you don't get the pressure, if you don't get the fizz coming out of them, the chances are they're going to be absolutely fine, whether they're a month past the best before date, whether they're 2 months past the best before date, or whether they're 3 years past the best before date. But at the end of the day, use your own common sense. Now, just before I dive in, I've got the golden rule for you that I always preach about. I'm going to showcase 15, I think it's 15 different syrups and purees for you in this video that I think you're going to need for your rum cocktails. My golden rule is this: only pick out 4 to 5 cocktails that you want to make over the next month or so, and then buy the ingredients for those cocktails. Don't go stocking your bar up now for cocktails that you might not make for 6 months or so. Just physically buy those products that you want in the next few weeks or so. There is no point shelling out £200-300 on products for stuff that's just going to sit on your shelf and gather dust for a while. So let's start. The first 3 I'm going to go to are pretty obvious 3. I'm going to go for normal sugar. Obviously, I've got 2 types here. I will very quickly explain the difference behind there. I've got some Demerara sugar and I've got some honey sugar. Now, these are 3 that you can very easily make yourselves or you could buy in. It's completely up to you. The difference between Gomme and cane sugar or sugar syrup is essentially that Gomme will give you a little bit of extra thickness to your cocktails. It's either got acacia gum or xanthan gum in it. It gives you that tiny little bit of extra viscosity. There we go, there's a posh word for you. Traditionally though, for some unknown reason, I don't know why, it's normally actually cheaper than sugar syrup. So it's up to you. But of course, you can make your sugar syrup yourself. If you watched the Drink Stuff channel, you'll have seen me rolling out my own sugar syrups on there because of the £25 haul videos. All I'll be doing, that's actually the bag of sugar, this is caster sugar, and I would generally recommend you do 2 parts caster or granulated sugar to 1 part water, hot water, whether it's on a pan, whether it's in a kettle. Stir it down, let it go cool, and then you've got however long you want to keep it in the fridge. Now, there's a little caveat coming here for all of these sugar syrups. If you are making them themselves, the length of time they will keep for is very much down to your water, especially in the UK. We've got 2 different types of water, hard water and soft water. In Cambridge, where I am, it's a hard water area. It will typically, your syrups, even if you keep them in the fridge, your syrups will typically go off within a month or so. You'll start to get a bit of mould forming. However, where I'm originally from, down in Cornwall, it's a soft water area, better for shaving as well. Gives you a lovely clean shave. But obviously, the water's a lot better, it's a lot softer, and it will keep for months and months and months in the fridge. You could even add a bit of rum to your sugar syrup to give it a bit more shelf life. But in truth, you know, you don't need to go making much. That bag, that little bag there, will probably keep you in sugar syrup for a year or so if you just make little bits. So 2 to 1, 2 parts sugar, 1 part water. Moving swiftly on to the Demerara sugar. There's not many brands that actually make Demerara sugar, simply because it's a bit more volatile. It can be harder to keep. So it's a lot easier to make Demerara sugar yourself. And again, it's as crazy as this sounds, I think the perfect ratio for Demerara sugar, certainly for what I found, is again, it's a 2 to 1 ratio, but instead of doing 2 parts Demerara, and I've just got Demerara there, instead of going 2 parts Demerara, what I would actually do is 1 part Demerara, 1 part granulated or cane sugar or caster sugar, and then 1 part water. So you're still doing a 2 to 1, but you've got 1 part Demerara, 1 part normal sugar, and then 1 part water, and that will be perfect. Again, same rules as before. Keep in your fridge. You know, you only look, I've got about, I don't know whether you can see that on the close-up, I've only got a little bit in there. That's all you really need to make. And then honey syrup. Honey syrup for me is pretty much a staple. I use it quite a lot. Again, easy to make for yourselves. We just make honey syrup because it is a lot easier to use in cocktails. We do 2 parts honey, 1 part hot water, kettle water, boiling water on a pan, and then let it dissolve. It is just more runny and dissolves into cocktails easily, mixes into cocktails more easily. But me, I prefer to buy, if I'm honest. It's a less faff, and they will keep for months and months and months and months and months on your shelves, as long as you keep them in a cool area. So they're my 3 staples. Now, your next 3 syrups arguably will be equally as called for as the first 3 that I've just shown you. We've got, let's go this way. We've got vanilla syrup, we've got Orgeat Syrup, and we've got cinnamon syrup. Probably use those 2 a lot more than the cinnamon, but the cinnamon will get called for a lot. Now, I'm very I was hoping it was going to be here in time to compare. This is the brand of Orgeat syrup, Orgeat, that I've worked with for a good few years now. It is, for my money, the best and pretty much the only one on the market, simply because Orgeat syrup is and has to be almond syrup with either traditionally orange blossom water or orange flower water, or it could be a slight hint of rose, but traditionally it's orange. No real other brands use it. I don't think Monin does. It's certainly not listed, and you certainly can't taste it on there. Bristol syrups, again, I'm not a huge fan of theirs. I really can't taste the orange on it. Giffard, a cracking almond syrup, but again, it hasn't got the orange to turn it into Orgeat syrup. So for my money there. However, George, chatting to George at William Fox, I love his syrups. You can see this is his vanilla and his cinnamon syrup here. He's literally, I'm chatting to him at the time of filming this morning, perfecting, and there will be his label up on screen. He's perfecting his Orgeat syrup, and he tells me that it's going to be equally as good, if not better, than the ODK one. So we're going to have a little taste off, probably on a live show in a few weeks' time when it actually drops. But there could be a possibility that I swap to the William Fox brand of Orgeat. But I tell you, this one is, at the moment, on the market at this precise moment, there is no comparison to this. This absolutely nails it. So for the other two, speak for themselves. Vanilla, cinnamon. Again, you could make them yourselves. As I said with the sugar syrup, with the vanilla, you just want a little capful of vanilla extract. As you'd make a sugar syrup, 2-to-1 sugar syrup with water, maybe a little tiny capful, depending on the size of the bottle you're making, obviously adjust to taste, but a little tiny capful of vanilla extract. You've got vanilla syrup, and again with cinnamon, make your sugar syrup, and while it's still hot, just pop a cinnamon stick in, or maybe a couple, depending on the size of the bottle you're making, or a little cup. Stick a cinnamon stick in. But they're my next three go-tos. That's probably going to be your highest juice one. Now next we come on to, enjoy my daiquiri, next we come on to purees, or what we should really call these is fruity mixes. For me, this is the brand that I have used for quite a few years now. It's the brand that I absolutely love, easy to get through, and links for all these will be in the show description as well, where you can get these from. What these essentially are is they're called fruity mixes because they are sort of anywhere between 30, 40 and 50% fruit to obviously the opposite in sugar. So if you're going 30% fruits, then it'll be 70% sugar, 50-50, obviously 40-60. They are long life, they are shelf stable. These are very much, for me personally, Steve the Barman guidelines will keep for a lot longer than it says. I think it says used within 3 months. Will keep for a lot longer, but this is my own personal guidelines. It's not brand guidelines. They tell you to use it within 3 months. But these are the flavors. Coconut is going to be your out and out go-to. Passion fruit would probably be your next one. These two, people kind of think, oh, I could use pineapple juice instead. There is something about pineapple puree. It just bursts with flavouring. It's a lot more vibrant than pineapple juice. At the end of the day, you're going to use more juice, which is going to dilute and alter the ratios of your cocktails. So juice is kind of giving you extra dilution, whereas purees don't. Purees give you that burst of flavour. So we've got pineapple and strawberry. Now there is another brand that you could go to. These are sold by Drink Stuff in the UK. Real are sold by Master of Malt, my other go-tos. Pretty similar products. There might be a slight percentage, like we're talking like 2 to 5% variation on the fruit levels, fruit content of these, but they are very similar products. They are fruity mixes, syrup-based purees essentially. A lot better than kind of your Monin syrups and that, because they will give you the texture of your cocktails. Remember, these are purely guided for home use and for lower volume pubs and bars. I love Funkin purees, absolutely love them, but they are fresh products. You have literally got a week on them before they will start to go off, because they are fresh fruit essentially. The tiny bit of sugar to keep them shelf stable before opening, but once open, as soon as the air gets to them, 7 days, maybe 10 if you're lucky. These little bad boys, you've got a good couple of years when they come in, and then it says used within 3 months. I'll be honest, I've got another strawberry. That's not this one, but I've got another one down there, and that has been open 3 years now. So, and it's still absolutely fine. Now, those first 10 that I've covered are going to be your staples, and arguably even like the strawberry and the pineapple. I will use the pineapple quite a lot, but even arguably those two would probably be the lesser used ones out of them. So they are, you know, even the 8 of them, I think, would be your staples. They are the first ones. Anything else now is going to be luxuries. Now, you could argue, I think it's that one. You could argue that grenadine should be a luxury. It doesn't actually get used that much, and when you do use it, it's kind of like 5ml here and there, maybe 10ml. It's not one of these sugar syrups that you do 15ml, 25ml. It's purely used to give it a colour and a tiny touch of sweetness. That's all. Easy to make for yourselves at home, and Monin do this in small bottles as well. So it might be advisable to get a smaller bottle of grenadine. God knows how long this one has been opened. I've had it a good couple of years. I don't even know whether there's still a date on here. It goes out of date at the end of this year, which means I've had it a good couple of years. So yeah, grenadine is one of those, for the cost of it, it's worth having. It's not going to go off, but it's up to you. It doesn't get used. The rest of these are luxuries, but I will be rocking them out from time to time, and some more than others. So first up, I think the first two that I will probably use the most of is the maple spice, because I absolutely love that. It's just maple syrup with spices, Caribbean spices added to it, which gives cocktails a nice flavour. Both Smuggler's Cove and quite a few of the books do call for maple spice. They do use that. Macadamia nut. We don't in the UK. We don't get Trader Vic's macadamia liqueur, which I'd absolutely love to get in the UK, but we don't get it. So that, and I'm going to be playing around with that because I'm going to be actually mixing that and making my kind of own Orgeat syrup, if you like, a bit of macadamia nut mixed with the Orgeat. So that's going to be quite fun. I'm going to be using that. Hibiscus we will use from time to time. Again, I've actually used quite a bit of it over the last sort of year or so, but again, it's one of those that you possibly won't use, but it does kind of give you a nice tiki vibe, floral vibe to your cocktails. And then we get onto these two. This is a brand new range from Monin. They're kind of island blends. So this is actually from Mexico. The Muscovado is from Mauritius. And I think the cane sugar is Mauritius as well. Luxuries, agave nectar, I think you do need, but you can quite easily pick up this sort of stuff from your local supermarket. Every supermarket in the UK probably will have that. So agave nectar is lovely for cocktails. I think you do need it, but that's what I've got there. And I'm really excited to start using this as well. Muscovado, we used to be, regulars of mine will know that I used to brag on about a Muscovado, Schweppes Muscovado mixer. I used to love that with rum and whiskies. They've done away with it, but we've now got this as a sugar syrup. You could use Muscovado, make your own. Again, I think you'd have to kind of go similar to Demerara, like 1 part Muscovado, 1 part normal sugar, and then water. But I'm looking forward to playing that. Is it necessity? No. Is it listed in any cocktails that I've seen so far? No. But I'm going to get creative. I'm going to kind of use it. It's not one that you definitely need, but it could be a fun one that you kind of add to. Now, if you want to learn what liqueurs I think you need and bitters you need for your home bar, dive into that video right there.